Hello everyone, my name is Glenn Schwartz. I'm an attorney at law and I'm the chair of the Board of Directors of the Chamber of Commerce for 2012. I would like to welcome all of you to the Eden Prairie Chamber of Commerce's General Membership Luncheon. I want to thank everyone for coming today and thank the Eden Prairie Foundation for sponsoring the State of the City Address. This program is one of my favorites because you get the chance to get a full snapshot of the Eden Prairie community, from the business community through the chamber, to the schools, and to the city. One of the things that sets our community apart is the strong partnership and spirit of cooperation between the schools, the city, and the chamber. At this time, I would like to call up Patrick Mulqueeny, President of the Chamber, who will update you on additional programs and start our State of the City addresses.
I'm going to jump into our State of the City address, specifically into the Chamber information. Just to highlight, the Chamber's mission is to be the catalyst for a vibrant business community, and we work in many different ways to accomplish that goal, and I'm going to highlight some of those in a minute. 2011 was a great year for us in terms of opportunities, and one of the big opportunities we took advantage of was the invitation to partner with the City of Eden Prairie on their every 3-year business survey. And so we contributed both financially to that effort as well as some additional questions to garner feedback from our businesses. The survey was conducted during the summer of 2011. 350 telephone interviews were conducted, and the average interview time was 18 minutes. And these interviews are very critical because they are the top decision makers, the CEOs of the companies here in Eden Prairie. And the city has been doing this survey for a number of years now. Top issues facing our businesses, as reflected through the survey, are taxes, and particularly high property taxes. And I know Dave Lindo, our Economic Development Manager, will attest to this. When we sit down with businesses and talk about their issues and what's their biggest concern, taxes is always highlighted, but it usually is not locally. It's usually highlighted at a higher level. General economic conditions in the marketplace ranked high. Economic factors, again, national and state, not necessarily in Eden Prairie. And traffic congestion ranked high as well. Reasons to operate a business in Eden Prairie. Top reason was great place to live and work. 93% of our respondents highlighted that. Highway access, as much as we talk about transportation issues, we are in a great community where we have access to 494, 212, 169, and additional feeder roadways. Low crime rates and high speed of internet access also rank very high. One of the questions we wanted to find out more about is the perception of light rail. A lot of discussion over the years on the Southwest line coming to Eden Prairie. Our businesses responded 60% favorably of light rail through the survey. They see it as an opportunity to bring workers to Eden Prairie, reverse commute opportunities, building block for the community. Some of the negatives received through the survey, the cost obviously. Some see it as a typical word is boondoggle because of the tremendous cost of transportation. But there are a lot of opportunities that come with light rail. The Chamber is focused on that to try and minimize negative impacts locally and maximize the positive impacts. We still have some work to do as the alignment gets finalized through the engineering process. One of the key issues you'll see us focused on is on the technology drive area. Current plan has that alignment running across Rosemont Emerson and Costco's only 2 access points on technology. So we've been working with the city and the county and others through this planning process to come to a conclusion that will work for our businesses locally. One of the key things that we were able to garnish through our survey work was the membership makeup of our organization and how it reflects back to the business community of Eden Prairie. We were very pleased to see that in most instances, our makeup of our businesses that are members of the Chamber is basically the same breakdown of the businesses in the community. And by that I mean on percentages. So when you take a look at the percentages of types of businesses that are here in Eden Prairie, that makeup is reflected within our membership. Chamber highlights. We currently have 510 members. Our members employ over 31,000 employees. Average monthly attendance at our programs is over 500. The Chamber puts on over 120 different events and programs every year, so we have over 6,000 people that have attended those programs in 2011. We have the 9th largest metro area Chamber of Commerce. We have a retention rate of 80% of our members, and our key focus areas have been networking and programs, public policy, community building, and leadership. Talked about our programs. We continue to look for bigger, better programs to provide to our members, effective programs, opportunities to help our businesses succeed. Networking is a prime one. As we know, the majority of our businesses are small businesses. They look for finding those new clients, new vendors to help them be successful. We also provide educational programs, public policy programs. We have a young professionals group, and our 2 big events each year have been our golf tournament and our annual gala. One of the great success stories we've had is our Home Landscape and Garden Expo. The next one is coming up on Saturday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. I know everybody will be out there and wearing green. We are very pleased with this program. We get over 100 exhibitors that attend this. We get typically over 1,500 of our local residents that come out to shop the vendors. The program is free, and it has continued to grow. So 10th annual event this year. We talked a little bit about our international trips. We had our 3rd trip to China this past year. The trips continue to grow in popularity. I mentioned earlier that the Southwest Chamber of Commerce is partnering with us on future trips. Next future trip is back to Italy in November, and then talk of a trip to Ireland in the spring of 2013. And as part of that planning process, we have a number of medical manufacturers in Ireland that we are planning on visiting as part of that trip. We like to recognize awards both within our community and excellence amongst businesses. Some of the key things we do is our Volunteer of the Year Award, scholarships. We recognize excellence in education through our Golden Apple Awards. Through our scholarship program, we typically give out $5,000 each and every year. And since the inception of our program, we have given out over $70,000 in scholarships to help further education. Top speakers and programs, we look for top CEOs, and last year was no exception, as well as having the governor return. So the first trip to Eden Prairie for Governor Mark Dayton was well received. We also had a lot of fun with famous Dave Anderson. If any of you have heard him, he is high energy, great enthusiasm, true believer in his product, had a great message, not only for our businesses, but for the students that were in attendance at that program. We love this picture because it has famous Dave Anderson and then our less famous chamber member, Dave Anderson picture. Not only do we put on a lot of events, but we try and build in the idea of having fun at our events. And these pictures kind of highlight that. Networking is a key component of what the Chamber does, building businesses and helping you succeed by meeting new people, whether it's those business leads or even like a group today where you have a lot of community builders and leaders that are here that you get the chance to meet and build a great network. And that's one of the things we know is if you can have some fun, it helps increase that opportunity, breaks down those barriers where people are uncertain of themselves, and that is reflected within our programs. And we invite you to attend upcoming events that are listed on our event calendar. Talked about our big events, golf tournament and our annual gala. Last year we had a great event, the Bourbon Street Ball. This year's gala is set for October 27th with a return visit to Hazeltine, so we hope you mark your calendars for that. One of the fun things that our ambassador group gets to do is to go out and participate in ribbon cuttings and the additions of businesses to our community. Some of the key things that happened this year were the Randy Bobby's and Steve's grand opening, as well as the rib cutting with famous Dave Anderson at Famous Dave's. So great growth in some of the businesses you see here. With some of them we said, what took you so long, in terms of the Famous Dave's and other restaurants that came to town. And again, we look forward to some additional businesses coming to our community in 2012. Partnerships, opportunities, and initiatives. Glenn highlighted the strong partnership we have with the city and the school districts. I know that we have new leaderships at the top that you get to hear more about here shortly. We continue to look forward to Eden Prairie even becoming better. Now, I know we were reflected as the #1 city to live in by Money Magazine, and the city has been kind enough to provide collector's mugs for us. You can't go any higher than #1, but there's always things that we can improve upon, and we look forward to partnering with our organizations locally and the other nonprofits to build a strong Eden Prairie. As Glenn mentioned, we have some board members with us today. The Chamber's Board of Directors has a great makeup of business people. We are governed by a 14-member board of directors, and again, reflective of our business community. We have a number of sole proprietors that are on our board of directors, CEOs, not only CEOs of regional-based organizations, but CEOs of GE Fleet, and representatives from our educational facilities as well. So it's a great group of people. They're always welcome to discuss different matters with you, as well as our staff here locally. And finally, just one other partnership we always like to highlight, and that is the Chamber's Student Membership Program. We were the first Chamber of Commerce in the nation to start this program. We each year have a number of high school students from Eden Prairie that are Chamber members. This year we have 19 students that have been very active. Our staff has been very pleased to see them at pretty much every event throughout the year, including our gala event that you can see pictures here from. The students love this opportunity to meet business people, get some job shadows, some mentorship opportunities, learn about who you are and what you do, and at the same time, you get to understand the great youth that we have coming up. I'm always amazed by the students that we have. Some of them already have their own businesses started as seniors in high school, and it's a tremendous group. So as you continue to come to Chamber programs, we invite you to find those students. You'll notice them pretty obviously, and they are definitely open to learn more about your business, and we welcome their participation. At this time, I'd like to introduce our interim superintendent, John McBroom, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the school district, and have John come up.
Thanks, Pat. It's a real pleasure to be here today. Let me just give you a little bit of background of how I ended up as a superintendent and how I ended up here today. Originally, I didn't ever have it as a goal to be a superintendent of schools, and some things happened a whole lot of years ago, and I ended up serving 3 different districts over 28 years as a superintendent. This past spring, I decided that there were some other things I wanted to do in life, and so I retired from Shakopee and actually finished up in June of this past summer, and started doing things that I enjoyed, and some things that I hadn't had the opportunity to do in the past. Then in October, I got this call about would I be willing to fill in Eden Prairie for a while, and my first reaction was no, I'm not sure I want to go back to doing things. I'm kind of enjoying myself. I'd had a couple of calls from other districts as well about doing that. But after talking a little bit, I said, you know, I'd probably enjoy a conversation. And I said that because I really have watched a number of districts over the years, and Eden Prairie was always one that I thought did a really good job for the students of the community, and had a high expectation for kids and had a lot of successes and things. And I thought, well, I can probably go back to doing this for a few months if the board is interested. So we agreed to have me become a candidate, and I went through a couple of interview things and was fortunate enough to be offered the interim position. And I really appreciate opportunities like this because one of the things I really value is the connection between the schools and parents and the community at large. And the relationship between the chamber and the school district, the city and the school district has always been important to me in previous positions, and it's been very refreshing to see that connection here. And the fact that we have staff members, for example, that are either on the board of directors or working on a number of the different big committees for you. as a chamber, and that's a very healthy thing. And what you do for students, both as a chamber and as a community, is one of the reasons why students here are very successful at things. So my thanks to you, and thanks to the city and the chamber for having this kind of a connecting activity. I'd like to introduce board members. On the screen you see the present Board of Education. Our year runs from January 1 through the end of the year. That's the term for board members. They serve 4-year terms. We've had a couple of new people elected. Today we have board members who were able to make it work with their schedule. Renee, maybe you could stand. Renee is the chair of the school board for this year, and she is, I know, known to most of you. We also have John here. John is the vice chair, and Suzanne was here. She went invisible on me. So Suzanne, director, was also here. Other board members, Holly Parker was going to be here today. Her husband actually was in a car accident and had some surgery today. Everything's going okay, but she wasn't able to be with us, and other people had conflicts. So, but the board is very committed to the connections that the school district has, and I've actually enjoyed my time with them. They really want to do what's best for the community. They're working hard to focus us on ways to improve and to advance opportunities educationally for kids in the district. And one of those things that you're going to maybe participate in if you live here in the community is they are presently setting up, and we will be instituting very soon, a survey of the community to provide feedback to the school board and to the school district about different aspects of the services and the opportunities that we provide. And that is a consulting firm we brought in that does these types of surveys across the state for different districts. And it's a phone survey, it's a scientific sample, and it's done very professionally so that we get good information that we can project across the school district about directions people would like to see us go and what the expectations are in the community. So if you get one of those calls, please give us your opinion, and that will help the school district as it moves forward. I'd also like to have people that are staff members from the school district to please stand for just a minute, if you would. There you go. These folks are very important to the school district. They help with leadership situations. Some of them are district administrators, some of them are principals. They're dedicated to kids, and I have been very appreciative of the support they have provided me in the 10, 12 weeks that I've been here. We do have a fine system in our administrative meetings, so I am under a time frame, and I will meet that. Otherwise, I will be digging into my pocket for some dollars to pay. Eden Prairie students have performed very well for a long period of time, and I'm just going to talk briefly about our students. They're the real reason we're here. Without students and without the things that we need to do for students, none of us that work for the school district, work for you as the community, we wouldn't have a job, and we're very understanding of that. This year we have 9,230 students who are actually sitting in chairs on October 1st of this past fall. We're down from where we were a year ago by 350 plus. Part of that came because of some environmental things and some activity that has happened in the last 18 months. We are a district, in my opinion, as an interim, that's basically a stable district. We've seen a little bit of decline over a number of years of about 1%. This year we lost some additional people because of situations, and we are working to move beyond that and have a positive step going forward, and we're hoping some of those people will come back. But school districts and enrollments are significantly different today than they were, let's say, 28 years ago when I started. We were just having that conversation at the table here. For those of us that are a little older, and for somebody that's really old like me, who actually went to a country school, at one time you went to the school district where your home was there, and you might have belonged to a private or parochial school because your parents wanted to do that for religious reasons or whatever. And those are all parent decisions, and I'm always very supportive of that. But starting back in the 70s, because of some situations and I think rigidity by school districts, the legislature found it appropriate to open up situations where students could go to post-secondary opportunities before they graduated. And then the whole open enrollment and agreement between districts, the charter school efforts. There's just a lot of different options for Minnesota, and I think that that's healthy. We, of course, want to be able to serve and provide good educational services for everybody, and that's our goal, but we also respect people's opinions that they have a religious preference for school and things like that, so we understand that. But we're going to make efforts to make sure that our opportunities here are good for people and that we're meeting people's needs. Our demographics are actually changing, very similar to the community and to the metropolitan area. I know that the demographics from the time I came to Shakopee back in 2000 to when I retired this past summer changed significantly, and that's happening throughout the metro area, and we're going to continue to see that. We're also seeing situations where people are staying in their homes longer. We also have the economic situation, but it used to be that homes turned over so often and young people would come and buy those homes, or people would move up to another level of homes. So you'd get an X amount of turnover that would help your student population stay stable. Some districts grow rapidly. We've seen other metropolitan districts and also significant number of districts in outstate Minnesota that are declining because there just aren't as many children in the community anymore. I see this as a relatively stable community as far as a student population. But when you think of how many children couples used to have back 40 years ago, and maybe we can look around the room and know that I had 4 children, but I know that my kids are looking more at having just 2. So there's a couple of different population factors that are going on, and we will see a situation where some of our students will choose, families will choose other things. We're hoping to remain stable and continue to provide good opportunities here for students across the range of different demographics. About 18% of our student population comes from homes of free and reduced, which means that they qualify for free and reduced lunches and breakfasts, and that's strictly a financial situation. 6% of our children come from homes where there is another language other than English is their main language. We also have numerous families in this community that have multiple languages within their homes, and people are bilingual. They can do, an LEP student or a limited English proficient student is not someone that comes from a situation where they have another language or 2 plus they're fluent in English. It's where the family is primarily another language other than English, and students come to us with very limited English skills. So that's a challenge. Shakopee actually is more in the 15% category for limited English proficiency. So districts are not the same, and that does create some challenges, but also pretty important opportunities, I think, for children too, and we're trying to meet those needs. And then between 10 and 11% of our children here, which is just slightly below the state average, receive some sort of help with special education challenges, be that significantly health impaired, be that speech, be that behavioral, cognitive delayed, or many different things. I could go on for hours, and in fact, when I asked for, give me some examples of success of our students, I got pages of stuff, and I'm just going to bring up a couple of things. Academically, we score very well. One of the most recent awards that the school district received, and it's basically a real tribute to the community for supporting and to the board and the staff for providing the opportunity, is at our high school with the advanced placement and the college and the schools opportunities. Our advanced placement provides very rigorous academic coursework that allows us to give students an up so they can take a test, actually gain credits, and cut the amount of tuition that mom and dad have to help them with as they're graduate or moving through the college situation. We received a special award this year. We're one of only 3 schools in the state of Minnesota that have been recognized by the College Board honor roll for the number of AP students and the increase of students taking that. And these are courses that we are working at in the school district to allow more people in. We're not just looking at targeting the top 10%. We're trying to make sure that more kids across the school district have those kinds of opportunities. Our staff is working very hard to improve our curriculum and advance that so that we're teaching the skills that kids need to be successful in school, and more importantly, to go out into the world and be successful citizens and members of the workforce. Co-curricular theater, music, arts, athletics. We could talk about state championships. We could talk about a newspaper that placed in the top 5. If any of you are looking for something to do on Saturday, come to the science competition at the high school. Another example of an extra program that gives people and gives students a chance to challenge themselves and step up. I think they might even be looking for a couple of judges. So if you'd like to come at 9:15, 9:30, we'll train you to be a judge and help out. And I will see you there. It's an important thing. Let's talk a little bit about finances and facilities. The school board has worked very hard to keep their finances in order and balance budgets. And that's a challenge in today's world, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I think my sense for somebody who's done this for a long time and just came in, we've done a really good job with using the different extra funding that's came to districts the last 2 years, 3 years because of the economic downturn with the federal stimulus money and the jobs bill revenue. And that's been, I think, well spent. We've tried to set some of that aside and not just use it in 1 year, but kind of spread that out to help us long term. The district maintains a fund balance, a rainy day fund, if you will, to help with the ups and downs of funding. We are primarily controlled by what the legislature gives us as far as dollars. We're told how much that we can levy in a lot of cases for our property tax portion. And I'll talk just a second about some of the shifting things as well. Our fund balance right now is that's not assigned to anything is $12 million. We've got another $2 to $3 million that are set up for assigned responsibilities going forward. Our general fund budget runs $94 million, so we're at about 12% fund balance. That's not quite as high as some of our neighbors or across the state, but I think it's a sound situation, and it's actually helping us not have to borrow for cash flow at this time. And the other reason that you try and have a savings account or a rainy day fund, so when you do receive reductions in your funding source, you're able to use some of that. It's one-time money, of course. You can't use it over and over, but if you judiciously use that, you can smooth things out and allow for the maintenance of good quality programming over the years. One of the things that the district's working hard with is to try and meet our cash flow situation because of the state shifts. That's part of how the state legislature balanced the state budget, was by changing how school districts got their money. We used to get our property taxes that you as taxpayers pay. We'd get those at the beginning of the half at the beginning of the school year, which would be your spring payment, and then that would give us money to cash flow for the rest of the year. We'd get our portion there, and then we'd get the other portion after November. Part of the shift into balance the state budget is instead of giving us revenue that the state promised in foundation aid, they actually told us that to take that June payment that we used to get and use that at the back end of the previous year to make up for the hole that they weren't able to give us in their foundation funding formula. So basically that delayed 50% of our cash that we got through property tax to the end of the year rather than having it at the beginning. So that creates some issues. They also have changed how we get our money. The money for this year, we get 60% of what our allotment is for the year during the year in aid payments over 22 payments. And then we're looking to pick up 40% next year of the expenditures that we have this year. So you can see that we're promised the money and we expect to get the money, even though it's not in statute that they absolutely have to give it to us at some time. But the reality is we're expecting that 40% to come in, but it does significantly impact cash flow for the school district, and I think we all understood that we had to do some things to balance the state budget and to make things work. We hope for better days ahead. I can tell you, having done this for 28 years, this is not the first time that the state has shifted money and then paid the shifts back at some time back in the early 80s when I got started. That was one of the main things that happened. We also see prorations and some other things. The next point about voter-approved levies. This district is very fortunate that the public supported schools here with not only bond referendums to provide quality facilities, but also to do things such as give the district additional dollars for technology in some of our operations. And we sincerely appreciate that. The district will have to renew those. We are the one entity that has to go out and ask for dollars in this way for operations and things. And these are operational levies, and our levy runs out in a year and a half. And so sometime down the road here, if not this next fall, the following fall, we'll have to come and hopefully renew that levy and look at where we're at. The district's committed to maintaining our facilities and making sure that we have good opportunities for kids. Something that I'm sure lots of people are interested in and want to know about is what happens now with the superintendent's position. I know that I'm done June 30th, and it's really, I'm looking forward to it. Not that I don't like you, I just think it's an opportunity for me to get back to sleeping in the morning, if nothing else. The school board has worked toward filling this position and has hired a search firm, which is pretty normal for school districts, to come in and help them with their search. I, of course, am done on June 30th. They interviewed the search firms back in November. They decided which one they were going to use, and it's Executive Connect, which has done Rochester and other metropolitan schools and is well regarded. They have just completed interviewing a lot of people, parents, community, staff, students, to get input about what characteristics that the community would like to see in the next superintendent. And I know that some of you participated in maybe a focus group or individual connection, and we sincerely appreciate that. You may have also went online to do the online survey, but those are critical feedback pieces that will help the board understand what it is that the community's looking for. The position has now been posted nationwide. Recruitment of candidates will continue during January and a chunk of February. On March 12th, the selection of candidates to be interviewed will be brought to the board, and the board will do something. In superintendent searches, there's concerns by candidates, of course, about if you're looking to maybe move up to a quality school district like Eden Prairie and you're working in another district, you don't necessarily want people to know that you've just become a candidate. Because then you start having people in your own community say, well, aren't we good enough, or why don't you want to be here? So most candidates prefer to keep their interest in a position confidential until and if they are actually asked to be a finalist for the position. So the search firm does that. There's very strict laws in Minnesota regarding how school districts can do this type of thing. So once the names come to the board and they select and they start interviewing, then those names, of course, are totally public. But until that time, the search firm can work with candidates and actually help with the recruitment process. March 14th is when the board will interview candidates. They will bring in 5 to, I'm guessing, 7 people that day and do interviews during the day. And then they will get it down to 2 or 3 finalists. And then March 20th through the 22nd, the expectation is that those finalists will come in one day each and basically spend the whole day. There will be opportunities for the community to meet the candidate, for staff to meet the candidate, for a board to do a formal interview at the end of the day, and our communications department will be communicating more about that schedule. And again, if possible and you're available when the community meeting time is, and it'll be late afternoon, we would encourage you to do that. And then there's going to be an opportunity for you to provide feedback about your view of the candidates. The board will meet to select the next superintendent of schools. They actually will determine which candidate they're going to enter into negotiations with. That will take place right at the end of March or early April, and they'll make their decision. The contract will be signed, and the new person will be expected to be here starting July 1st. So I think it's an exciting time. It's an opportunity to think about the future and taking positive steps with the hire of a new leader. And I think everybody will appreciate the process when it's complete. I think my time is up, and I'm going to move on and turn it over to Rick. But again, my thanks to you for the connection, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody or answer any questions after today. Take care.
Get the technology up here. Boy, that search stuff kind of sounds familiar, right, Mr. Albrecht? Kind of remember something similar to that a while back. Well, thank you. I'm Rick Getcho. I'm the city manager for Eden Prairie, and I'm really, really happy to be here. I think this is said before, but it's very unique that you have a chamber and a school and a city work together on an address like this and to talk about what's happening. And I think we're going to prove that, too, as time goes forward. Because I think the council and the school board plan to meet not once, but maybe twice in the coming year. So you're going to see a little bit more about collaboration and working together, along with the chamber as well. I have up there a picture of all my bosses, the council that took place in 2011. I'd like to introduce a few of those people right now as well. Our mayor is currently traveling out of state, but we're happy to have Councilmember Brad Aho here. You could stand. And we have Councilmember Kathy Nelson here as well. Then I thought I would take a second too to introduce a couple other elected officials that we have here that I noticed as well. We have our County Commissioner Jan Callison here as well. Welcome, Jan. And State Representative Jennifer Loon. Thank you. I think if I missed anybody, sorry. This presentation typically for many years has been looking back on 2011 and looking ahead to 2012, and that's going to be no different. I'll flip through many, many different slides and talk, and you'll see some graphics pop up there about what happened recently, but I do want to echo what Pat said earlier. I've got the flare on here, so you guys take the flare as well, and while the food might not be free, the mugs are. So take the mugs as well. So yes, looking back on 2011 and the City Council and a few new faces as well in 2011 with Mayor Tara Lukens and Councilmember Sherry Butcher-Wickstrom joining our other council members, as well as myself, who came on in March of last year. And we had a long-time Public Works Director, Gene Dietz, retired in 2011 and brought Robert in as well. And Robert immediately got our budget into shape by not letting it snow at all in the city, and that immediately has saved us quite a bit of money, so we appreciate that. And as we all know, human resources is a huge part of any organization, and we have a new human resource manager as well. And I, similar to John, would like to take a second to ask all the city employees to stand up also and be recognized. The people that do all the work. Thank you. Thank you. I want to talk as well a little bit about the current financial picture of the city. And I think it could be well represented by saying that we prepare for difficult times, but we also anticipate and are ready for positive times as well. I think we're finding when we look at a lot of our forecasts and our budget that there was a time, probably in 2008, 2009, where in terms of development revenue and city budgets, we probably hit our low point. And we made adjustments at that time, and we made significant cuts. And overall as a community, we're moving toward a community that's not fast developing anymore, but is building out and developed, and we're hitting a stable area. And a positive piece in that is, for instance, if you look at our development revenue, as you know, a huge portion of local government finances or property taxes, but for us, development revenue is kind of that anomaly that can change. And when we hit that low point of around $1 million, at least for our city, we've seen in the last 2 years of positive results closer to $2 million, at least in development revenue. And development would be all the projects that I'm going to show you, as well as all the building permits for decks and new homes and a lot of the work that's done in the community. And while we're not necessarily increasing any expenditures to match that or staffing up, we're coming up with a plan that levels that out over time. So we're looking far ahead and forecasting where we think our budget is for our community, but with a real positive aspect to it. As I said too, we've been able to do this without having to dip in to any of our fund balance at all. And this, as Pat talked about with the business survey, taxes come up. It was nice to see, though, that the #1 answer on concerns with from the business community, #1 is nothing. #2 is taxes, and that bears out in our city survey as well. But that's an illustration of the breakdown, at least from a commercial property perspective, of the tax bill. And I know from an editorial that I read this weekend that the state general property tax is something that's being debated and discussed. And you'll also see fiscal disparities as a topic that could be an entire chamber meeting. And Representative Loon knows, and she's worked on this at the state level, of studying this program and taking a look at this program, because the city of Eden Prairie, after the city of Bloomington and this metro area tax sharing program, contributes more than anyone else. And that equates to millions of dollars in our city budget that affects commercial properties as well. And it shows how it's a big part of the commercial tax bill. Regardless of where the city budget may be at, positive results or otherwise, we are always looking for ways to be more efficient, to save money, and to innovate. 2040-15, I think, is something that you've heard a lot about at the different State of the City events, to increase our efficiency in our facilities by 20%, our fleet by 40% by 2015, and we are more than halfway there. I think I mentioned at a budget hearing that savings alone, energy savings alone in our city buildings in the last year were $250,000 better than they were prior to this program. So we're continuing to look at ways to save money and be efficient. Public safety is a big part of any city budget. It's a 24/7 operation. And being ahead of the curve on technology and coming up with different ways to be more innovative and to save is something else that we're doing. Jumping straight into the projects, 2011 projects. We were happy to get a grant from the state for $275,000 to advance this project, the Valley View Road Flying Cloud Drive intersection improvements, which helped many businesses in that area with traffic at those difficult times of the day. And I'm going to go through a couple slides that Pat covered. With openings, we had, again, the Bobby and Steve's, and we had a retail center open up with Smashburger, Sports Clips, and Verizon. We've talked about the restaurants. I think we're working on becoming the rib capital of the world, I think, with Dickey's and Famous Dave's and Baker's. So that's coming along, and we're very happy with that. And that shows, again, some of the growth that we're seeing in the community. City-owned properties also we've had some positive results. We were able to lease out all of the space in our Den Road liquor store building location. That used to be the Hollywood Video. We've completely leased that out to Encore, Boutique, Consignment, and Complete Nutrition. And the daycare, the Ace Daycare, continues to do well in that area also. And I'll also mention that while we have not closed yet, Mr. Lindahl said we haven't closed, we have a purchase agreement for some excess property on Dell Road where Fire Station 4 is, and that's the future home of Kinder Care Daycare. So we've been able to sell that property as well. So we talk a little bit about the financial picture, a little bit about some projects. I think I want to spend quite a bit of time too talking about engagement, involvement. And it was a major goal of the mayor early on in her tenure to bring the school together, the city together, and the realtors in the community together to talk about why Eden Prairie would be a great place to live and work. And so we spent a day talking about our city survey results, where 98% of people that live in the city think the quality of life is good or excellent, and the service ratings of city services are in the low to mid 90 percentile, some of the best in the metro area. And the school district talked about the excellent things that they're doing in education, and then we took a tour of the area. And again, I think this is a theme where there's a lot of really good things to say about this community, and we really want to collaborate with businesses in the school to send that message, to keep sending that message. That's one thing I mentioned to Exec Connect when I visited with them as well. We continue also to do outreach to many different groups and populations in the communities, and we've had a poverty series, the Who Are Your Neighbor series, which we also tied with the Eden Prairie Reads program, which is very important. Last year's book, Outcasts United, had a theme related to diversity. This year's book, if you haven't read it yet, I got mine for my 12-year-old daughter, The Hunger Games. Get ready for more events based around that. Our police department puts on an excellent Citizens Academy as well, to be able to get behind the scenes of what happens in public safety and what it is like to be a police officer. I think even if you volunteer, you can be tased. So if you're looking to get tased, you can certainly do that. And probably one of the last outreach items of 2011 was a workshop that we put on in the fall with local developers and public finance and private finance people to talk with the Urban Land Institute. We were the first city to do this. We were somewhat of the guinea pig, to talk about the new normal, probably the most overused term of the last year, but the idea that the environment that we're in now is not going to change anytime soon, and how are we going to adjust to that. There was a lot of good news in that discussion with the Planning Commission and the City Council when they and city staff were together. We are positioned very well for a lot of the reasons, again, Pat mentioned, with our transportation system, with property values that are holding very well, with unemployment rates that are 2 to 3% lower than the state, which is lower than the national average. But at the same time, the development community has had a difficult time, and the city needs to partner with them and be proactive in many different areas to work together. So we're looking at different ways to partner, and I'll get to that with some plans we have in 2012. And then finally, some accolades in 2011 for the city. From the green side of things, we were awarded a honorable mention from the U.S. Conference of Mayors in climate protection. We are a Green Step city, which means we are working towards sustainability, a program through the League of Minnesota Cities. We were awarded the #1 award in cities between, I think it's 30 and 75,000 population, #1 in the country on what we're doing in IT with information technology, not only saving money within, but then using that technology to improve our services and public safety and other areas. I put Moody's up there because it isn't an award we got from Moody's, but the fact that we were reaffirmed as a AAA city is very, very important, and obviously that helps the cost of debt, and we do not have much debt in the city, but the debt we do is AAA rated, and that can't be said for many cities and communities. And lastly, we were the 2011 City Page's Best Suburb. All right. 2012. So to run through 2012, I know Clarence Nunn is a board member of the Chamber, and he'd be pleased to see that we are very supportive and very happy to see his Echo Experience Center coming in 2012. And if you drive down to 212, you can see that the track and the building for electric vehicles is coming along very well. And in fact, you can take that electric vehicle through one of the 6 roundabouts that hopefully will open up in 2012. Again, everyone knows about this project too. And even I think with the state shutdown, it's coming along, it's on schedule. This is what it should look like at this time next year, if not a little earlier. And even for people, I know when I said roundabouts, people got a little nervous. You could actually take a class. I think MnDOT had some demonstrations where you could get in a golf cart and learn how to make it through one of the roundabouts. But this is obviously a huge project, and we're really looking forward to it. In the Park and Rec area, Flying Cloud Field expansion near Mitchell and Pioneer Trail is coming along. Eden Prairie Road is coming along very well. So we're adding 2 new soccer, lacrosse fields and ball fields to go with the 20-plus sports fields that we have out there. And that's been a project that's been in the making since 2002, and it's the last project of the 2005 referendum. So we're really, really happy with that project as well. Emerson Rosemount is looking at putting at least $24 million into their facility in Technology Drive in Eden Prairie, adding 100 jobs. And I think it's the next council meeting we have the acceptance of a deed grant again from the state for $500,000. So it's really, really nice to see companies putting their growth into our community. UHG is probably one of the largest development projects that's happening in the entire metro. 1.5 million square feet of office space and 4 buildings over 6 years, bringing over 6,700 jobs to the area in the next few years on the northern edge of town. It's something we're going to spend a lot of time on. It's a very, very positive thing. It's been talked about for a while, and it's moving ahead right now. And also, I should have mentioned previously too that that UHG also with Optum had purchased the ADC building close by in 2011. I guess I don't have anything to add on this slide, but it's so nice, I guess we'll show it twice. Presbyterian Homes is another project that's been talked about for a while. 700 plus units, mainly senior, in our town center area that hopefully we're planning on getting off the ground here at the end of 2012 and 2013. With some retail, bank, restaurant, but again, 700 units of housing, mostly senior, but also other types of housing as well. And I'm going to guess that the last 20 years maybe of State of the City addresses has had a slide similar to this, because we've been talking about light rail, and I think Pat covered that very well in his discussion. I think the only thing that I would add is it was just in the last day or two that the governor has $25 million in the bonding bill to keep this project moving. But we also continue to deal not only with the fact that light rail transit would be coming to the community, but there's a lot of planning and development around those stations, those 6 stations, more than any other along the line. So as you know, this is a pretty big project. And also, we recently found out that we've received a grant, one of 8 cities in the country to receive a grant to do some sustainable lead study of the Golden Triangle area and station area, to bring in some national experts to look at that area and see how it could be more walkable and bikeable and connected. And that's not the first time. We've had some free consulting on behalf of some students from the Humphrey who have done a study. And our next work session, actually in February, is going to be entirely devoted to this topic. So that's another LRT redevelopment related issue. And not only are the larger businesses and larger projects important to the community, so are the small ones. and so are the entrepreneurs. And I don't know if this is mentioned in the survey, but what jumped out to me in the business survey is the number of home occupations we have in the city and small businesses. So there's a program that came out of Minneapolis and Hennepin County that we're joining, where you can, at no cost or low cost, receive business support for business planning, loan preparation, working with a bank, and you can ask Mr. Lindahl about that, because I think our person sets up office hours right here in City Hall, and you're going to hear a lot more about that program as well. When I talked about the new normal discussion in the panel that we had in to talk about kind of where we're headed, where we're going, and what we should do, we're going to update our strategic plan for housing and economic development. So that's going to include a lot of discussion about redevelopment, keeping our housing stock, continuing to offer and improve the programs we have, such as first-time home buyer, housing rehab. We talked at the council meeting just this week about grants for homeowners associations. So it's just very important that we continue to invest in those programs and continue to look ahead for further savings and efficiencies. The only thing I'll highlight quick, because I only have a few minutes, again, is in the area of technology. Right now, you can go online through the city and get a building permit and e-permits. And we've seen that increase from 10% of our permits to over 30%. We want to keep moving in that direction. We want people to be able to schedule inspections and schedule appointments online. We want to take entire submittals, be it one house, be it an entire subdivision, be it entire commercial development, can be uploaded to a city program and be all online, and everyone from staff to council and others can see a project progress through staff, through planning commission, and watch it occur over time and be paperless and be very transparent and open. We'll continue with 2040-15. We'll continue to look at ways to improve our processes and save money. I wanted to mention really quick here, the only new major item to the operating budget in the next 2 years is a fire duty crew, and that is permanently 24 hours a day, having firefighters stationed, 2 at each of our 4 stations. And we really see this as an excellent insurance policy because we've seen in other communities that have done this, response times have decreased on average from, let's say, 10 minutes to 5. So we feel what we've budgeted is not a large price to pay for what can be very good response in case of a major emergency. Leader of the pack in social media, if you've been reading your Star Tribune, in terms of local governments, we have been recognized as a leader in social media. And if you would have seen this slide a year ago, you would have seen that we're now up over 3,000 followers on Facebook. We have more than 12,000 subscribers to our news, and we continue to work and operate our blog. So this is something that we put a lot of energy and effort into, and it's a huge part of our communications effort, along with a brand new website that will be launched in 2012. And we'll have some new features, hopefully, that make it easier for people to interact with the city. Everybody asks me, what's up with that blue spike in 2010? Throughout, you'll see the 2011 website traffic is increased over 2010, is increased over 29, but that 2010 uptick is when we were named #1. And finally, citizen engagement, what we can look ahead to, and we have planned town hall meetings with specific groups, including the business community, in 2012 to get some feedback on city operations and the future of the city. And while there were some community conversations that the League of Cities had put on in our community, we want to come up with a plan as well to have more dialogue, more conversation in person with the use of technology to talk about how we can improve what we're doing. So citizen engagement is a theme that you'll see into the future. And with that, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming, and have a great day.
Great, thanks, Rick. Do you want to wrap up? Just again, thank you to John and Rick. Great presentations, but probably more importantly, thank you to our city government and the efforts they do in building a strong community, our school district and their efforts as well, and our business community in building the strongest Eden Prairie community we can possibly have. I just want to remind everybody next month's luncheon, I know Rick highlighted social media. Our focus will be on social media for businesses. So we hope you join us for that. I know Rick and John and I will try and stick around and answer any questions you may have. And with that, we'll let you get back to the wonderful cold Minnesota weather. Thank you and enjoy your afternoon.